The place to get the tool that will do this is a free download. It's called energycodes.gov, and it's this tool called ResCheck. And I think a couple people here have seen this or done this before. It's really not that bad. It allows you to do trade-offs within the envelope, sort of like borrowing part of my beer cooler from this part and sticking it over here on this part. But it does not allow you to take credit for like a more efficient heat pump or a furnace. We think we're going to get a version that's just for Georgia soon. That will, in essence, build this table into it, but soon might be September. So just be aware of that. We're going to work a little example problem, and y'all are going to have to help us on this. So everybody find this slide. This is slide number 81. And I want you to take your pen, and Roxanne's going to describe this house for us first, and then I want you to take your pen and draw the envelope.
All right, so we have a single-story house. We have a garage area, a laundry, kitchen, and dining area.
And that's conditioned.
Yes, conditioned laundry, kitchen, dining area. We have an unconditioned porch, as well as our bedroom, bathroom, and hallway areas that are conditioned. So, with your pen, let's try to draw that building envelope around our area.
Okay, I'm going to start right over here.
Oh, give him a second.
Oh, okay. All right. Draw your building envelope. Let's let everybody commit to it. Take your pen and draw what you think the building envelope is. Perfect. He's got it.
Oh, man, we didn't trick anybody.
No one's been tricked by this.
No one's been tricked. All right, well, there you go. You're drawing it for him. So the places that we didn't include, did we include the garage? No. Did we include the porch? No. All right. It's an unconditioned porch, and we never include garages because there's a thing called a car that we don't want to park in our living room. All right. Good job, Mike. Oh, come on.
I was doing so great. I just almost had it. Sorry, almost had it. I'll work on that. Look, I fixed it.
There you go. Slide H.
Okay, so the first thing is to identify your building envelope. By the way, this is the hardest part of using ResCheck, is just getting your numbers. But help us out here. You've got a sheet that tells you what we want to fill in. We want to know what is the wall area, what is the floor area, et cetera, et cetera. The first thing I'd like to know is how long is that red line right there? How long is this red line? If I started over here in the corner and I walked all the way around and I measured, how long would I have to walk? So what's this right side? How long is it? 40 feet. How far is it across the top?
54.
54. And if you add those two numbers together and double it, you'll have the answer. Right? So 54 plus 40 is 94. Am I right about that? Is that right? 94 times 2 is 188. How did I get that? Well, in other words, if the right side over there where Roxanne is 40, then if you added this and that length, they would also have to add up to be 40, right? And if the top is 54, then that means this plus this has to add up to be 54. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's how we got the length. Oh, you knew that. That's how we got the length of our perimeter. So 188 feet.
All right, guys, and we're going to take these numbers on the next page on your slide here, because we're going to have to call them out to Mike when we start doing the ResCheck software.
All right. So the first thing we notice is that the ceilings are 9 feet. So if I know that that red line right there is 188 and the ceilings are 9 feet, what is the gross wall area? You are allowed to use a calculator or your toes for this. That's also easy. Someone's going to have to help me. What's 188? Thank you. 1692 square feet. Everybody catch that? That's the gross wall area. And when I say gross wall area, what does that include? Say it again. It includes windows and doors. Gross wall includes windows and doors. All right? So next thing that comes up is, what is the floor area? Well, for this part, you're going to really look for sort of boxes. And let's do this starting with the laundry room over here. What's the dimensions of the laundry room? All right, what's that number? What's 12 times 14? Good, that's what I was guessing. And what are the dimensions of the kitchen? It looks like it's 20 feet this way. How far is it this way? Okay, so what's 20 feet times 31? Is that 620? Okay, and then what's the bedroom part over here? Okay, they're getting sleepy, Roxanne. We got to go fast.
I know, guys. We got to.
All right,
Come on.
800. All right. So add those three numbers up for me. What's the floor area of this house?
Somebody shout it out.
1588? I heard that. That sounds like a winner. If the floor is 1588, what is the flat ceiling? 1588. Okay, that makes sense. And now we got to figure our windows and doors. Okay, so let's do, starting down the corner by Roxanne over there, how many A windows are in the building envelope for this house? 1, 2,
Oh, you're starting. I'm starting lower because I'm short.
3,
I'm hearing the
4,
right answer all over the place.
5. What about this one right here? Not that one. But these two for sure. So everybody see how we got 7 of the A windows to count, and the one in the garage is not part of the envelope. So we don't care. That window over here, could that be a single pane window? Absolutely. Hopefully, the builder probably is going to hopefully spec the same window everywhere, because otherwise Murphy's Law will take over and the single pane window will end up like here or something, in the wrong place. But technically it doesn't matter. It's not part of the envelope. All right, 7 windows that are A. Each of those is 12 square feet. So that would be 84 square feet of the A's. How many B windows? 2. They're each 9, so that's another 18. How many C's? 2 of those. Each of those is 504. That's a 20 square foot and a 20 square foot, so that's another 40. And then the D one is actually a sliding glass door. It looks like 40 square feet. So we can put that down there as well. We also have a solid front door, opaque door right here, and we have a door to the garage. And I'll tell you, you can usually just assume a door is 20 square feet. It's awful close to 20. If it's not exactly, I can live with it. So assume doors are 20 square. So we have 2 solid doors. All right, what we just did was the hardest part of this. That was the hardest part, is getting all the takeoffs. So let me go down to this one. This is what you should have gotten for an answer, I think, in essence, if you want to check your numbers. Getting the takeoffs, frankly, is the hardest part. Using the software is actually pretty easy. Say again? Sorry?
I was like, what's going on? I just like zeros, apparently.
Okay. So hopefully that all makes sense how we got those. All right, Roxanne. So I'm gonna discard this. We're gonna launch ResCheck. And ResCheck is free. You get it from this energycodes.gov. You can download it, or they also have an online version that you can supposedly not even have to download it. I usually just download it because it's pretty easy and takes about 20 seconds to load, but it eventually loads. It's gonna say which version of the which version of the code do you want, and up here it allows you to pick different versions of the energy code. You'll notice that some states have their own specific code. Georgia is listed. Don't pick Georgia, because guess what? If you pick Georgia right now, what are you going to get? Last year's code, right? So don't pick Georgia. That's until it says Georgia 2009 version or something. Don't do it. So pick that 2009 IECC. But when you pick Georgia, it's also going to ask you which city you're in, And I will tell you that it lists about 5,000 cities in Georgia, some of which I've never heard of, like Attapulgis. Where's that? We'll take Dallas. But it really doesn't matter what city you pick, because at the end of the day, what's it going to do with the city you tell it? What's it going to look up? Yeah, your climate zone. So it really what matters is, are you in climate zone 3 or 4? You know, that kind of thing. So if you pick Decatur or Atlanta or Dallas or Cartersville, as long as they're all in climate zone 3, you'll get the same answer. Okay. You also can go in here and you can edit, and this is just text, but you can, put information that'll show up on the plans. You can put your name. All these kind of texts will show up on the reports, but it's just useful for kind of tracking it. And then over here, it wants me to put the conditioned floor area, which would be 1588. Okay? So having done that, I'm going to jump in here to the envelope screen, and you can see it's got these tabs at the top, and you just start describing your envelope. So Roxanne, you read out the stuff to me. So I got a ceiling.
It's going to be flat ceiling.
Yeah, so you notice you can do a vaulted ceiling, you can do an energy truss, a steel truss, a SIP roof. Any of these things, they're all available. All right, what's the area? What do you have?
1588.
And we'll start off just putting in the prescriptive R30. And you notice when I put in R30, down here it's keeping track of me. It says you're pretty much dead on code right now. You're not worse, but you're not better. You pass code though because you meet it. All right, if you have a skylight, you put skylight. Next up, we're going to put the wall.
And are we doing cavity or continuous for ceiling?
We put cavity.
Okay.
So we put the wall. You see you got wood frame, steel frame, solid concrete, block with empty cells, block with filled cells, log walls, structural insulated panel walls, SIPs, ICFs, that's those concrete forms, styrofoam forms, and anything else you want. So pretty much tons of different assemblies are in here. If you have a log wall, this is the way to do it. If a log wall, that's the way to go. So you put wood 16-inch on center, I'll pick that. And I'm going to put the gross wall, which I think is it 1692? Is that right? Yeah. I'll put R13 in the cavity and no foam board. So I'm just meeting the code. And then you put in your windows. The windows area will be subtracted out of the 1692. You describe your window, double pane low E. And what do we have, 142? And I'll just pick a good window. I'll pick 0.35 and 0.28 for solar heat gain. That's a pretty standard but good window. We also have some doors. So I got glass doors. I got 40 square feet of those. That's the sliding glass door. You can even right-click on it and say, give me a default, and say, oh, this is an insulated metal frame door. And you can also take a default on the solar heat gain. It's not going to be good. And it says, you blew it. You failed code. Okay? So it did a weighted average, and it said, you don't have enough. But if I drop that number down to, say, let's say 0.34, now all of a sudden I'm passing code. Because even though my one particular glass door is worse than 0.30, on average, the weighted average of all the glass is 0.30 or less. I don't know if that meant anything to you, but that's what it's doing. Also, I got to put in the solid doors. I'll put 2 of those in. They're 20 square feet each, so I'll put 40. And once again, I'll just take a default from this. Insulated metal, sure. All right. What kind of foundation do you want to do? Well, you can do them all. What are you probably going to see somebody build this house out of up here? What foundation are they going to use?
Slab.
We'll say, if you do a basement wall or a crawl space wall like we talked about, those tabs are in here. You can do a floor over outside air or over a crawl space. That'd be a wood frame floor. Or you can do a slab on grade. So we'll just do a slab on grade. I'll say unheated. Heated means what? Yeah, you got the radiant stuff inside the concrete, right? So that's pretty uncommon for us down here. So unheated. If you insulate it, here's the information about where you put the insulation, but we're not going to insulate it. And notice it's asking me for the feet of perimeter. So what number do I need to enter? No, not the wall area, but just the perimeter itself.
188.
188. Because it's 188 feet of exposed edge. And it says, make sure you enter the perimeter, not the area. Okay? And then if you have insulation continuous, you put it there. So what this does is it looks at the whole house, all the factors, and accounts for it as sort of recognizing we might be borrowing a little here and putting it over here. But on average, at the end of the day, this is the worst I could score, and I'm less than that. In fact, I'm about almost 3% better than code. So this is it's a tool that allows you to do some basic trade-offs. Sorry if you can't see it real well. I don't know if I can make that any better. That didn't help at all. Who has questions? Does anyone have questions?
What about a vaulted ceiling?
What about it, Roxanne? What about it?
All right, so we did a flat ceiling here, but a lot of times people are going to use this to actually do that spray foam roof line or that vaulted ceiling. So let's just pretend, let's do a little swag factor here. We know that a vaulted ceiling is going to have more area than a flat ceiling, but we're not going to calculate it.
Let's just say 2,000 maybe?
2,000 is great.
So in other words, when I change my insulation from here to here, what have I done to the area? I've increased it, right? So we'll just bump it up with 2,000.
And we're no longer doing R30. We're probably going to do something like an R19.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Are we passing? We're going to have to improve the beer cooler somewhere.
Okay.
Where are we going to improve it?
You got a lot of options. You can go after several different places. You can try to make the windows a little better. Like let me drop my glass door down to like a 0.32. So that helps some. I can make these windows get better. I can make them a 3.0. That helps some. You can play around with this. You can make rigid foam insulation on the wall. Maybe I put a 1/2 inch of foam board around the wall. That got me about 5% credit. So you play around is the main thing. You just try trading off and putting this and putting that. And however you come up with it, as long as it says that you pass code, you're good to go. And that's, in essence, how ResCheck works. So that's how you can show that you did a trade-off. And a lot of times, this is actually fairly easy to do because a lot of our windows are usually pretty good. Here I do 3.0, 0.3, and 0.3. I guess it's my solid door. I don't know. There we go. Need a better door. So you can play around with these, and here you can see we're able to successfully, get the insulation along the roof line traded down to R19. You look terribly excited. Who's excited about this? How do I make you more excited about this?
I'd be excited if you give me an option for the radiant barrier.
I know isn't that frustrating? It does not credit a radiant barrier, but I know that it would excite you, though. I do know that would excite you.
It doesn't include wind to air leakage.
So the question is, why does it not include infiltration? And the answer is this is a pretty simple trade-off. It doesn't look at all the elements of the envelope. If you want to take credit for a tighter building envelope, you can do that. But you have to go that third compliance pathway, which we're about to show you, called the simulated path. And it's more work, basically. But you can get credit for that. That's a good question. At the end of the day, ResCheck, I think, is really useful for simple trade-offs like we just did here. I want to foam the roof line. I don't want to use R30, that kind of thing. Or, it might be that you just want to under-insulate somewhere and make up for it somewhere else. As long as the net effect is you're no worse than code, you're good to go. Here's the other nice thing for code officials in particular is it will print a report that is a compliance documentation. And Gwinnett County, for example, has always been very big on requiring either ResCheck or ComCheck. There's a similar tool for commercial. And you can see it kind of titles up the house and it tells us that we're better than code. By the way, this is funny. If you're a code official, you want to make sure that this part right here says passes, not fails. Because apparently Apparently some people, we talked to some code officials, and they're like, yeah, some people turned in ResCheck and it says fails across the top. What do you think? Is that going to...
That might be an indicator.
So that might be an issue that something's off. So if you follow the rules and do it right, it should work. Here's another nice feature of it, is it prints out, in essence, a custom checklist based on what you described the house as. And the code official or you can use this, and it tells you what you said you were going to do. So if you're a code official and someone's doing a trade-off, you can use this to ask for this inspection checklist. And it says you should be looking for R19 cathedralized seal attic. And your walls are R13, and your windows are this good, and so on. It also has a prescriptive list of some of the other stuff we haven't covered yet. Does anybody have questions about this? All these prescriptive things we're about to cover, but this is the simple trade-off thing. And again, these are the generic 2009 IACC code requirements. So this checklist, as it stands now, does not include some of the Georgia amendments. Questions?
That is
Not much.
An old version of it.
Not much. It used to be you could use, like, say, for example, a high-efficiency furnace or a better high-efficiency heat pump, and you could get credit on your envelope. That's no longer the case. And that makes it challenging because now when you click to mechanical, it says, have a nice day, basically. That's what it's telling you. It says you can't
That's
get
kind of what it says.
You can't get any credit for it. So, and what was happening is there were some parts of the country where, like a high efficient, you get into about Maryland or maybe Virginia or Maryland or higher, the standard furnace up there is a 90+ furnace. So, they were all basically saying, well, I'm better than an 80% furnace, which is the minimum money can buy, and they were weakening the code. So they were saying, in essence, look, that trade-off is no longer there. The envelope should pass on its own. The equipment should pass on its own. For good or for bad, that's the way the code is. Any questions on that? A good question. Okay. All right, we're going to go back and say that we've wrapped up that compliance pathway. So we got the prescriptive code, we've got the simple trade-off. Roxanne?
And now we have the one that we affectionately call to our architects gone wild. Is where you're going to have to get a HERS rater involved or an energy modeler. So it's actually going to do the annual energy usage simulation of your house and a standard built house, kind of matching some of the features of your house.
Well, the same size and shape, but just sort of dumbed down to meet code.
So it has equal glazing on all windows. The model house has equal glazing on all windows. It has the same building footprint area as your house does, but your house might be very smartly built so that you don't have much glazing on your east and west sides. You might have a lot of glazing on your south side. But it is going to do an annual simulation, and you have to prove that those energy usage isn't going to be, or the cost of those aren't going to be more than this code or this standard home. It's going to probably involve a HERS rater, although you can use the energy gauge software. A HERS rater is a home energy rater. You use the REM rate software. If you're familiar with ResNet, so there's its website.
You basically get a report, and you have to show that we simulated this building as we're going to build it, and it compared it
to a standard.
As if it just met code, and our building costs less than one as if it just met code, therefore we pass code. So I'm not going to go into any more detail, but just know that
this
if all else
uses the infiltration rates as well. So
if all else fails, this method will get you, you'll get more credit for other things in essence. But you still can't trade off the equipment efficiency, even using this method. Does anyone have any questions on this? So pretty much most things are fair game under this approach, but it's definitely more work and less commonly done. You look so excited by all this, I'm going to move on.